My neighbor and his brother tried to blackmail me for money by falsely claiming I hit their car. I refused to pay. They vandalized my house, slashed my tires, and sent threatening notes. Instead of reacting, I called in the state police fraud division. The investigation uncovered a massive insurance scam spanning 4 counties. They both ended up sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay me triple damages. I'm a 42-year-old guy living in Elmira, New York. It's a small town in upstate New York where most people mind their business. I bought my house here about 5 years ago after saving for most of my adult life. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. I work long hours as a building inspector and spend my weekends fixing up the place. I've always stayed out of drama. That was my mistake with the neighbors. I should have seen the red flag sooner. About 8 months ago, the house next door got rented out to these 2 guys, Jake and Ryan Miller. Jake is around 35, Ryan maybe late 20s. From day one, they gave me weird vibes. Jake had that fake friendly tone. He'd wave too much, smile too wide. Ryan barely talked, but when he did, it was short and rude. They drove beat-up cars, but every week it seemed like a different junker was parked out front. They had visitors at odd hours, loud arguments, and trash all over their yard. I told myself it wasn't my problem. I was dead wrong. One Saturday afternoon, I was working in my garage when Jake walked up. He had this real serious look on his face. "Hey man, we need to talk," he said. I wiped my hands and followed him to his driveway. He pointed at a small dent on the back of his old green sedan. "You hit my car backing out yesterday," he claimed. "We can settle it without involving insurance. Just give me $1,000. I stared at him, completely stunned. My car was parked in my driveway the whole day before. I knew I didn't hit anything. I told him exactly that. "I didn't hit your car." "There's no way." Jake's smile faded fast. His voice got colder. "Look, man, I'm trying to help you out. If you want to make this difficult, I'll just go through insurance and file a report." I refused again, and he stormed off. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The next morning, I walked out to find both of my tires slashed. Not punctured, slashed. There was also a note shoved under my windshield wiper. All it said was, "Pay up. Last chance." I felt sick. I called the local cops. They came out, took some pictures, wrote up a report. But without proof of who did it, there wasn't much they could do. I replaced the tires and tried to carry on. It didn't stop. Over the next week, my house got hit 3 times. Someone spray-painted "thief" across my garage door. My back window got smashed. Another note showed up, this time taped to my front door. "Next time it won't just be your car." I installed cameras. I called the cops again. They promised to keep an eye out. Nothing happened. I barely slept. I was scared to leave the house, scared to stay in it. That's when I decided to go bigger. I contacted the state police fraud division. I told them everything, every note, every act of vandalism, every conversation. They listened. More importantly, they believed me. What followed over the next months was something out of a movie. Investigators started digging. Turns out, Jake and Ryan weren't just harassing me. They were running a full-blown insurance scam across 4 counties. They'd stage accidents, fake damages, and extort people like me who they thought would fold under pressure. The deeper they dug, the worse it got. Witnesses came forward. Paper trails were uncovered. Fake repair bills, fake claims, even some people they paid off. I kept my mouth shut and watched the net close in. The investigation stretched into winter. My street, usually quiet, turned into something out of a crime show. Unmarked cars parked down the block. Plainclothes officers walked around like nosy neighbors. I kept going to work, pretending like nothing was happening, but inside I was counting the days. Then one night, around 3 a.m., I was woken up by a loud bang. Someone had thrown a brick through my living room window. I jumped out of bed, heart racing. Another note was attached to the brick. You think cops can save you? You're dead. I called 911. The police came, did their routine report, and left. I sat in my living room with a baseball bat, staring out the window until the sun came up. I knew exactly who did it, but I had to wait. The state police told me not to engage, not to confront, no matter what. The next day, I found my mailbox ripped out of the ground. My front tires slashed again. It was non-stop harassment. Jake and Ryan must have sensed the walls closing in and tried to break me. But I refused to give them the satisfaction. I documented everything. Photos, times, witnesses, even small details like cigarette butts left near the scene. About 2 weeks later, the big break came. One of their former clients, a guy from a nearby town, got caught filing a false accident report. Under pressure, he spilled everything. He told investigators how Jake and Ryan had recruited him. How they showed him how to fake damage, file claims, and split the money. That guy turned into their worst nightmare. He gave names, addresses, phone numbers, even receipts. The next morning, I was leaving for work when I noticed a black SUV parked at the Miller's house. Men in suits got out. They knocked. No answer. Within minutes, they pulled out a battering ram and smashed the front door in. I stood across the street, watching behind my car. My hands were shaking. Jake was dragged out first, wearing nothing but sweatpants and a tank top. Ryan followed, screaming like a madman. "This is bullshit! We didn't do anything!" he yelled as they shoved him into the back of a cruiser. I felt a mix of relief and raw satisfaction. I still wasn't allowed to say a word to them. The state police advised me to stay silent. I did. After the arrests, things weren't over for me. Not even close. The prosecutor warned me that Jake and Ryan had good lawyers. Their scam had gone on for years, and they weren't going down without a fight. I had to testify at the grand jury. Then at trial. It dragged on for almost a year. I sat in the courtroom and stared at them across the aisle. Jake wore a cheap suit. Ryan had cleaned up, too. They wouldn't even look at me. Their lawyer argued that I had targeted them, that I was the unstable neighbor trying to ruin their lives. It was surreal hearing them lie so easily. But the evidence was overwhelming. The state police had everything. The fake claims, photos of staged accidents, the threatening notes, which matched Ryan's handwriting, surveillance footage of them slashing my tires, and the testimony of their former partners. The courtroom was dead silent when the jury came back. Guilty. On all counts. Insurance fraud, conspiracy, vandalism, harassment. The judge didn't hold back. They each got 5 years in state prison. Not probation. Not house arrest. 5 years. But the real kicker? The judge also ordered them to pay me triple damages under New York's civil racketeering laws. Between the property damage, emotional distress, and legal fees, they owed me over $90,000. I'll never forget Jake's face when the sentence was read. The cocky smirk he always wore was gone. Ryan just stared at the table, completely defeated. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just walked out of that courtroom feeling lighter than I had in months. I used the money to repair my house, install a full security system, and take a long overdue vacation. Life in Elmira went back to normal. My neighbors now wave at me a little longer. A few have even thanked me for standing up when no one else could. I learned the hard way that evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it lives next door. But I also learned that if you stay calm, document everything, and trust the right people, justice can win. I sleep soundly now. I don't have to watch my back. And if Jake and Ryan ever think about coming back when they get out, I'll be ready. A few weeks after the sentencing, I got one last unwanted surprise. I came home from work and found a plain white envelope taped to my front door. No stamp. No name. Just one line scrawled in messy handwriting. "We'll be back." My heart sank. I called the state police immediately. They sent an officer out, took fingerprints, and logged the incident. The officer told me it was likely an empty threat, maybe from one of Jake and Ryan's friends or someone else involved in the scam who hadn't been caught yet. Still, I wasn't taking any chances. I hired a private security company to upgrade my entire property. High-resolution cameras, motion detectors, reinforced doors and windows. I even got a big German Shepherd from a rescue shelter. His name is Diesel, and he's the best decision I ever made. Diesel doesn't bark at squirrels or passing cars. But if anyone steps foot on my property, he lets them know they've got about 2 seconds to rethink their life. Over the next few months, I rebuilt my home and my peace of mind. The smashed windows, the slashed tires, the hateful graffiti, all gone. I took the remaining money and finally did what I had dreamed about for years. I remodeled my garage into a workshop. It was my way of taking back control. About a year later, I got a letter from the Department of Corrections. It was just a routine notice. Jake and Ryan had both been denied parole. They would serve their full 5 years. That letter felt like closure. I've since joined a neighborhood watch group. People who never spoke to each other now share numbers, cameras, and tips. I tell my story when needed. Not to scare people, but to remind them that you never know what's going on behind closed doors, and that you should never, ever let bullies think they've won. Do I think about them? Sometimes. I wonder if prison changed them, or just made them angrier. I'm ready either way. My cameras are on. Diesel's always watching. I have evidence bags in my home office drawer just in case. I won once. I can do it again. As for me, I finally sleep through the night. The house is quiet. The air feels clean. For the first time in a long time, I feel safe. And I earned every second of it.